Okay, it is time to call the August 26th meeting of the Board of Directors, Coast Domains and Sanitary District to order. And, you'll all rise and join me in leading the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. President Schaefer, you have words of wisdom for us tonight.
Dear Lord, please bless this meeting, that we get out of here at a decent time, and that also all of us stay well. Amen.
No pressure.
That's all I get.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Vice Secretary Robert Uten,
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry,
Here.
Vice President Arlene Schaefer,
Here,
President Mike Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
The record needs to reflect that this secretary is under the weather, joining us via Zoom this evening. Hope you're feeling all right, Director.
Yes, I'm feeling better all the time.
Roll call, we already done it. Announcement of any late communications. How about any ceremonial matters or presentations?
None.
Vote. Public comments, this is the time for members of the public to speak on items not on the agenda, but will do with the sanitary district board of directors. Anyone from the public wishing to speak this evening? If no one jumping up at this point, we will go to the consent calendar. Anyone to pull any items off the consent calendars? I'll move for second.
consent calendar.
Second. Spectrum? All those in favor?
Aye.
Actually, Madam Clerk, we need to use a roll call, but or is that already you did it? You did it.
Mr. President, I don't have the Brown Act in front of me, but should we make a little articulation about what Director Newton is under the weather and whether it's a just cause or emergency circumstance, whatever the grounds are for allowing a remote participation? We don't have to give the exact reason, but I assume there's an illness that prevents you from attending.
Correct.
And those are the findings that we would need to come under one of the exceptions under the Brown Act.
Okay. Some boards they sit on, if someone's on Zoom, they do a roll call, some his voice is okay, so we can rule that his voice is okay. That he can't be here due to an illness none of us want.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
We don't need to do a roll call, we can use his voice.
Oh, sure.
Okay, that's really where it's going now.
Okay.
All right, let me do that again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Scott, we'll go to your items. There are no public hearings, so item 1 under the general manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Marissa Pareto will be giving this report.
Good afternoon, President and members of the board. Before you is the proposed second amendment to the agreement with CR. The board approved the first amendment to the agreement with CR in January 2023. And that first amendment established that the current 2-car collection system rate would be adjusted prior to implementation of the 3-part rollout. As you know, that rollout is scheduled to begin on October 7th. So this amendment is a presentation of that new 3-part rate. The staff report includes the current rate, which has 3 components: occupancy, mixed waste, and organics. And the new structure includes 4 components: occupancy, landfill, and the organics rate. And this 3-part structure was accounted for in the solid waste rate study and the customer rates that were approved at the public hearing earlier this year.
Thank you, Marissa. Any questions from any board members? Go ahead.
I just want to clarify what you just said right there. So these exact rates, at one point there was a little bit of confusion, but these have been used for the rate study, and the, rates that we passed some time ago. I just want to confirm.
Correct, yes, so these were used in the rate study, and then the current, the two-part rates were approved recently with that 3.1 CPI adjustment, those make those approved rates.
And then these same rates are used with an upcoming agenda item as we look at that overall budget.
Correct, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bob, did you have your hand up?
No,
Okay. Then we'll look for a motion to approve the second amendment to the 2018 agreement with CRR. I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Scott, number 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. So ordinance number 139 pertaining to out-of-state traveling was first discussed by the board on July 22nd. And part of the new procedures in the proposed ordinance is that the board no longer has to obtain approval if board members are going to travel out of state as long as that expense is already approved in the budget. However, the board directed us to bring this ordinance back, and they wanted the ordinance revised that if the board is traveling out of state, let's say to a conference or seminar, and that conference is not in the budget, then it does have to come back to the board for approval. Those changes were made, and so ordinance number 139 is ready for your adoption consideration.
Could I also just add that the original purpose of the ordinance was to allow the general manager to approve staff going into that in Arizona without getting further approval.
Which is still the case, still Nevada.
It's still, that's still in the ordinance, yeah. This is just the clarification for the board.
Gee, why would we include Nevada for? That's where they're all going. Okay, questions for staff, move forward with the discussion? I'll move for approval.
Second,
Motion in a second, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Motion to approve carries unanimous. Item number 3, staff.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the Federal Emergency Management Agency highly encourage local and state governments to adopt a hazard mitigation plan. And what that plan does is identifies infrastructure vulnerabilities during a man-made or natural disasters. Once those vulnerabilities are identified, then the plan generally describes how we can to mitigate those vulnerabilities so that if a disaster does occur, it would result in fewer or less damage, property damage, public safety. It improves the resiliency of the community during a catastrophic disaster. Another benefit for the hazard mitigation plan is that FEMA will not allocate any grant funds to agencies that do not have an adopted plan. And as you know, we are in design phase for our Elk Enforcement Redundancy Project. Construction alone is going to be probably about $10 million, which is almost double than our budget. So we're going to need to seek alternative fundings. I believe that the FEMA's hazard mitigation grant is one method, one way we could possibly get some alternative funding sources, but we can't do it without a hazard mitigation plan. So the timing was great because I received an email from Vicki Osborne, the Director of Emergency Management from REWAC, the Water Emergency Response of Orange County, saying that they are in the process of revising multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan, which we're not part of at this point. And so I jumped at the chance and yes, we want to participate in that plan. So we have entered a contract with the MODOC, the Metropolitan Water District of Orange County, which is led by with REWAC, it's led by Vicki Osborne. That process is in motion right now. We have met with the consultants. Well, right now, the big part of the plan is getting public input, and that's the process we're in right now. In fact, if you scroll down farther on the screen, there is a link. You can click on that link too, right there. So there's this link that we encourage the public to go visit and take the survey. It's really just seeking public comment on what they believe is some vulnerability risk, in their community. So, the consultant can take that into consideration and develop their hazard mitigation plan. So right now, what staff is seeking direction from the board is to continue that interaction with the public. We did reach out to our Citizens Advisory Committee. It is also sent this online survey to on our email subscriptions and other subscribers to get that input. I also have Vicki Osborne here. She's here happy to speak more about the plan. But really just for your information and really to give staff direction to continue the process of getting staff's feedback. So Vicki, I don't know if that covered it, or do you want to say anything? By all means, but.
You know what, President Schaefer loves to hear about hazard mitigation.
You know, in my line of work, which is unfortunately, this is as near and dear, and the work that you do, so important to us, and it's nice to have you with us here.
I appreciate that very much, thank you, and the entire board. So, as General Manager Girl said, I'm Vicki Osborne, Director of Emergency Management with Lee Rock. So it was perfect timing. We are actually fast tracking our plan. Normally you start a plan about 2 years, a hazard mitigation plan. Our plan expired in March, and we're gonna get it from FEMA by March, and we waited because they changed the guidelines late last year, and no one could get a plan through FEMA to save their life. The first 58 plans that were turned in were actually kicked back. So we have a contractor, our contractor so far has gotten 5 plans he found a way to craft them. We're very happy to have them to be part of our team. So one of the aspects, and I appreciate Joe and Carol bringing up the hazard mitigation funding that we have, having an approved plan, and 16 out of our 19 special districts participate in this plan. So it's a big plan, and we're happy to have you all come on board. Besides just it being pre-disaster mitigation dollars, when we do have an incident happen here in the state of California, depending how much hazard mitigation is available, there is after disasters opportunities where we can also seek funding at that time. It used to be just the county, and then the counties that touch the county, there's been so much mitigation funding, they've actually opened it up competitively statewide, and we'll probably see more of those. So that gives us more of an opportunity to try to either get hazard mitigation funding, also the BRIC grant, which is the Building Resilient Communities funding. So this opened up a lot of avenues. And we don't know if that actually is going to become true. If you don't have a plan, you won't be able to get overall funding, because even when we have a disaster for public assistance, when FEMA comes in, a lot of people don't realize that's actually a grant. And that's a lot of times we will see hazard mitigation come to be part of that also. So having a food plan is very important. So we're happy to have you on. Give you the friends and benefits rate, because we have lots of friends doing the plan with us at the same time. Normally, if you go out to a consultant for a mitigation plan on your own, it's $550,000. So we're able to bring you all in, do the analysis, and give a lot of components that we've already built for y'all to be part of our plan. And I'm always happy to entertain any questions.
What does it cost for us?
It's gonna be $11,800. That's a bargain compared to $50,000.
Very good.
And the reason why, and you'll notice if, I can always bring up the spreadsheet if you're curious. The reason why yours is like $1,000 higher than others is you haven't been through it. So we have to build your different maps, vulnerabilities, and assessment tools. So that's one of the reasons why. Finally, with the public education piece, that's one of the biggest changes that FEMA has made this time is the outreach. So the survey is a big piece. When I talk about hazard mitigation from my website, I talk about all y'all too, so I give you a double. I also represent y'all when I have to present to the quarterly operational area executive board. They're gonna get a hazard mitigation presentation like they're not in November. And then also with our entire Orange County Emergency Management Organization, so that's all the city school districts, they also will have part of our plan, and they're considered public because they are also stakeholders for us.
Vicki, under flood and then under seismic, do you get any help either financially or logistically for flood under the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program, and then under seismic, the California Earthquake Authority? Do you get anything from either of those agencies?
Well, yes and no. So here in Orange County, because I came, from the county before I came over to WEFA. So Orange County Public Works acts as the flood control district and oversee the watershed. So a lot more of the flood funding goes for a lot of their levee projects. And we usually will work with them and understand what projects they have coming down the pipe. For example, working with Army Corps and Orange County Public Works from the Santa Ana River, but the Potto Dam, and then in regards to Orange County Water District, where we have the bladders to replenish the groundwater system. So we do get kind of side benefits, but we don't necessarily get direct funding for flooding. As for earthquake seismic, they haven't really had a good seismic program. I want to say for the last 7 years, they did have a public one that they were doing from the governor's office for a while, and then a lot of focus, and there is still some little bit of money, if some of the schools know about it, where there is some seismic retrofit under some of the different titles that they can tap into, some of the different Title 19, et cetera.
The tough thing for me, is looking at the CEA, the Earthquake Authority. They have so much money, because we obviously haven't had a catastrophe since Northridge. To the extent that the CEA would even get involved with giving out funds. So all these years, all the insurance premiums we've collected, the CEA is about as flush and fat as they can be.
Right, and I think they're gonna be that way for a while until they figure out exactly how they want to reallocate this money out.
And that's kind of why I asked that question, because I think they're gonna have to figure some of this emergency response into that.
Agreed.
Hopefully that's how.
That's what we all hope for, and I hate to say it, usually that funding comes available after we have a disaster, and you think we learn from our own mistakes and do some more mitigation, and some of the release of funds be over, but it just doesn't always happen that way.
And I don't know, from the insurance company standpoint, the focus in California isn't anything seismic, it's all wildfire.
Right.
So FEMA, everybody, and you see it probably more than we do, their focus is on wildfire mitigation and wildfire reconstruction or whatever they call it. So seismic is sort of, we haven't had one of those, so we'll just wait.
But those rings, they are active right now. So you're right, wildfire is a big thing for us here in the state, especially for our community, because there's so many insurance that are pulling out. I'm watching flood, because we've seen so much flooding happening, especially in the Midwest, and also I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some of the same impacts from flooding happening here also.
Watching the news this morning and seeing what's going on in the Grand Canyon, it was amazing. I mean, the Grand Canyon's gonna fill up with water, we'll have the biggest lake ever, right? So, thank you.
The other thing, if you ever get question in regards to coastal change or climate change, we've incorporated that into every hazard because that has impacted overall, so it's not gonna be a standalone, we get that question.
Excellent. Okay, other questions for Vicky or for Stephanie?
Just a question, the member groups, is this open to also the cities and counties as well? How does that all play in this?
So I worked with the county for many years, so the county has its own, and it's only with the county departments, and then they include Orange County Fire Authority, their JPA. And the reason why is because county fire has to be provided under ordinance, and our county fire unit as a JPA provides that service. So it says County of Orange and Orange County or Orange County Fire Authority. We did have the cities part of our hazard mitigation plan, at least the water agencies and the wastewater agencies last time, and FEMA said, yeah, no, they have to be part of their own city. Every city is required to have their own hazard mitigation plan. So we help them still if they need some assistance and such with or any type of analysis, we'll provide that to the water department so they can include that in their city emergency. In their EOPs, their emergency operation plan, and their hazard mitigation.
Thank you. Sure. And then I guess I'll go back to this direction, I think. What have we done up to this point, since we haven't been a part of this group?
As far as mitigation goes?
Yeah.
So back in, I think 2012, we did an assessment of our pump stations. And we found there was some vulnerability in our pump stations, specifically our electrical control panels. They weren't bolted to the ground, so if there was a significant seismic activity, those panels could have tipped over. They are now bolted down. So that's the one thing we did. I'm trying to think of something else. That was the most significant thing I can think of. We just we just went and acquired earthquake insurance for both our buildings. So we did that. So those are the things I can think of off the top of my head right now.
And then in the staff report, it mentions public outreach. Can you just expand on that, what we're, if we approve this membership, all membership, but what are we seeking?
We're just complying with FEMA's guidelines and making sure that the public is aware and they have an opportunity to comment on vulnerabilities that they believe are in their communities. And so that's what the survey will ask, those kind of questions. There's also non-additional surveys, like you said, there's presentations, press releases, there's other kinds of tools.
So you can take this back after 9/11, even when presidential policy 8 came out and everyone had to adopt the national incident management system and you started hearing buzzwords like the whole community. This is a way that we need to have the whole community be part of our planning and have buy-off on where we're heading. So this really is to get the community involved, even in our disadvantaged communities, to make sure that we are addressing what the needs are and hearing what the community says, because for too long, we did government planning in a silo over here, and then we just would tell the community, this is what we said, and too bad. Now we want to make sure we work together because we rely on them too. You know, if we do a mitigation on some of the collection lines and collection systems, we at the same time make sure they know we're doing this and be part of it and help us maintain by not doing inappropriate things and be right. So that type of campaign. But this is to let them know that yes, we are working on it. These are the hazards. It's some things that maybe a hazard to the community, they have an opportunity to provide a voice, and that's what people want.
Got it. And then, are there, I've got to assume then there's gonna be some other costs involved with community outreach? Nope. Okay.
The only thing we require is, we'll present it here. These meetings are open to the public. We're presenting it to the school districts, because technically they are also our consumers. We're presenting it to the city, so they are our consumers. It has a link, so the public can know. Social media campaign, there's a toolkit, so there really isn't any cost outside of what your public affairs team are able to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do that.
How long is your public outreach? Is there a time frame?
I think
Yeah.
it's on there, on the calendar. right
We're
there.
hoping to tidy it up by the end of November. Our goal is to have this plan in CalOES, so the governor's office emergency services by December 1st. Then they have 30 days to review it, and there has a mitigation group will actually kind of look through it and say, hey, you know, FEMA's been knocking people down. They'll send it back, and then our goal is to then, at the beginning of the year, get it to FEMA with the documentation of what public outreach we did, and just write it up so it's included.
So we're relying, our district's relying on getting the survey responses, right?
If we can, yes. I mean, I think the goal is at least show a good faith effort that we're reaching out to the community. Will they respond? You know, it's up to them, but yeah, but as long as we can demonstrate, look, we did our good faith effort and like I said, due diligence of reaching out to the public.
Is there anything we can do with this for the Eco Expo? Is there?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good, absolutely.
Putting up some kind of, hey,
Yep.
we need you to take the survey.
Perfect.
I
Yep.
think that'd be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So we're looking for a motion to begin engagement with the program, and I'm gonna move that we take that direction. Second. Okay. Further discussion? Bob, anything?
No, We Rock is a fabulous agency.
Yes.
Appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much.
It definitely is. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vic. Good to have you with us.
I'll come back more often.
You're welcome anytime, believe me. Okay, moving to item 4.
Thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin Tran will be giving this report.
Caitlin, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. In front of you is the fiscal year 2023-24. This is the next item.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to be proactive for you.
That was quick. Well, ready to begin.
Okay. So in front of you is the fiscal year 2024, preliminary fourth quarter budget analysis. The fiscal year 2023-24 financial statements will not be finalized until later this year. Staff estimates the total year-end expenditure for the solid waste will be $7,141,209. resulting in a projected surplus of $276,100 by fiscal year end due to savings in personnel, maintenance, and operations. As for the solid waste revenue, district received 98% of the annual assessment revenue, totaling $7,891,418. The district received more revenue than budget from property taxes, additional container, investment earnings, and other non-operating revenues such as rents and liquidated damages. The wastewater fund staff estimates the total expenditure at year end will be $6,018,977, resulting in a surplus of $85,000 by fiscal year end due to savings in personnel, maintenance, and operations. As for wastewater revenue, the district received 99% of the annual assessment revenue, totaling $8,096,525. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
That personnel savings in the solid waste fund, that's basically clerical savings of personnel.
And so can you repeat that part?
Okay, so you said that budgetary savings of $277,000 primarily due to personnel and maintenance operations. The personnel would be clerical, and when I say clerical, I mean all staff. I should say.
Right. So, for solid waste, personnel, we have an unspent savings of $56,000. And $220,000 from maintenance operation in the solid waste.
Okay. All right, other questions for Caitlin on the item? All right, this is a receiving file. Yes. Thank you for the report, we appreciate it. I assume you're gonna do number 5 as well?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Say it quick that.
Now you can share it.
Now I can put it up.
So staff presented the proposed budget adjustments for fiscal year 2024-25 to the board of directors at the study session meeting on August 13th. The board requested, rather than using the general fund to provide a balanced budget in the wastewater fund, staff reduced expenses in other funds. So staff has reviewed and made some cuts to some of the new proposed activities and projects that were, as well as analyzed some accounts that may have available funds by year end. The total cost for the new activities and projects is $145,200. Since the purchase of the Vector Combo Sewer Clean Unit was expensed in fiscal year 2023-24, staff is proposing to use the available $100,000 from the wastewater fund balance, and the remaining $45,300 will be funded from professional services account, compensation, maintenance, and utilizing this maintenance accounts as listed there. So the top section is the new activities, what we want to do. And the bottom section is where we found money for funding.
But since you're right here, because when I was going through the report over the weekend, granted it was over the weekend, so who knows what my head was at, but my, now it looked like there was a reduction of expenditures of about 135,500. Did I misread that? Now I'm seeing 145,200. Did I misread it or did I misunderstand it?
From the last meeting, we had, I think 30,000 requested for the, solar panel battery. That was, we decided to wait on that. And the paint job, the building painting job, that was, 110. from last, meeting. And now we got new, RFP proposal, and it's the average about 60,000, so, we reduced that to 60,000. So. I think those are the two that, were reduced the most. And it dropped, so that got us down to from 200 something to 145,000. And then now, instead of using general fund, we found funding from those accounts right there, community services, fund station, computer license.
I guess that's what I was looking at, because the previous meeting, there was a general fund of X dollars and,
Yeah.
but I thought it was 13500, that's where I'm off some. 15,000 plus. I mean, this is better, so maybe I just accept it. Okay.
Well, we reduced the activities, the cost of the activities, and then we also found money other accounts instead of proposing the general fund, and that's where Mark's report next is where he's gonna propose that. Just a heads up.
Bring it back now.
He's not too happy.
I was just tired. All right, thank you.
Okay, so the proposed budget adjustment for solid waste fund for fiscal year 24-25 reflects the balanced budget of $8,247,100. Next slide, please. The proposed budget adjustment for the wastewater fund for fiscal year 2024 reflects the balanced budget of $8,101,200. Staff recommends that the board of directors approve the proposed budget adjustment for fiscal year 2025 to ensure the continuation of services. Any questions?
Sorry, I just want to get a lot of numbers, so thank you for putting all this together, and I think a big thank you for finding some cuts, sorry, Mark, but cuts to balance this without using what I'll call reserves, because that was, I know, my sticking point, so now we're back on track with this. Great job, guys, sorry, Mark, we'll figure it out.
I want to say thank you to all of you ones, because it's also their effort to make the cuts.
It's not an easy process, I know, so everyone's got to, yeah, but thank you to all.
We need a motion for this. Yeah, I'll move for approval of the request for adjustment to the adopted budget for fiscal year 2024.
I'll second it.
Right, second. Okay. Further discussion on the item? And Caitlin, thank you for the diligence and hard work. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Are we to
Engineers.
engineers report? Mark.
I don't know, Lord, how are you this evening? I'll apologize in advance. I'm a little tired. I've been spending a lot of time on a particular project that just doesn't want to go away, I'll say. So, but for tonight, I just have 3 items I want to chat with. Our Geisler sinkhole over at Geisler Park, we officially, it's our sewer segment 150136. That was, repair for that was completed. We lined it, we opened up the sinkhole and repaired the ribbon gutter at the city park. So that one's done and out of the way. Eldon family is an action item tonight, so I'll cover that just a little bit. And then 355 South Coast Plaza urgent capital repair. That one likewise is agendized for this evening. I'll cover that in just a couple minutes. And then tonight, I just want to advise that, a team of corrosion engineers is being supported by a contractor. And we'll be entering to the Mesa Bridge over the State Route 55 tonight, because we're starting our condition assessment of the Elgin Force Main. We periodically do this. I think the last time this agency conducted this an evaluation was probably about 5-6 years ago, I'm gonna say, and it's just time to periodically do it again. So we'll go in and we'll tap on it, and beat on it, and do ultrasound and do all kinds of little things, and then probably about 2-3 weeks after we get finished with this field work, the corrosion engineering firm will submit a report to me, and we'll bring it to you for receive and file, and provide you with the outcome of our evaluation tonight, and probably tomorrow night.
What you're doing there sounds like one of my doctors.
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing, so I know how you feel.
Is this the same, remember a couple of years ago when we had the leak, or there was a.
Yeah, this is
That same one, the pressure valve or something?
Yes.
fall off?
Yes. Same bridge, same pipeline, so we are staying on top of it. That concludes my report. Are there any other questions I might be able to answer? All right, if you could open up the first attachment, the one called 2024-08-22 board report, the contract docs. It's in the attachment, there is, yeah, that first one, I believe it is. Go ahead and open that up. I'm gonna be talking to you, and requesting you to reject some bids from a recent project that we bid out. What you're looking at on the upper right-hand side is our Elgin pump station. The right about where the cursor is against the fence line, that's where the new fan will go. It's that dark thing that's probably a couple inches to the left of that mouse cursor. It's right about there, yeah, that's where we're gonna be putting our new fan. For reference, this is Mesa Drive. To the left of the page is the fairgrounds when you get up to State Route 55, the Coastal Mesa Freeway there. And then that big dash thing, rectangle that's partly in the street there, that's our actual pump station. That's our wet well that pumps in it and stuff. But just wanted to give you, and on to the left side is, I'll say, a bird's eye view. On the left hand of the sheet there is a bird's eye view of what that fan will look like. It's basically gonna be, have a box over it and a stack coming out of the top, and like it has for many years now. Next, if you can slide up, there's another page, there you go. Oh, keep going, one more.
You're going.
Just there's on the right hand side, that's what, if you're looking at it from the street, that's what it's gonna look like. The actual fan and equipment will be in a box, and then you put that to a stack, and then the vent exhausts up about 12 feet up in the air. So that's what that fan and the electrical associated with that fan is what we're actually bidding now. So just to continue on my report, the fan died, oh gosh, a year and a half or so ago. We've been looking for a fan to put in its place, and we realized because of the change of codes and various other things, we cannot buy a fan like we used to have. And so we designed some improvements. Unfortunately, the electrical that provides to this pump station, it's at capacity. And so part of this is to install a new transformer off a 480 volt system, and go from a 30 amp sub panel to a 60 amp sub panel, and then we're going to add a little bit larger fan that meets the current codes. And we had to basically replace the sub panel, or we will have to replace the sub panel, the transformer from 480 volt down to 240 volt, and then we have to pull all new wires and stuff in between the two, because as you double the capacity, guess what? The wires get bigger, so we have to install some larger wires. we completed the design, we estimated the design at $93,000. And we went out to bid, and bids range from $164,000 to $250,000. And I just don't understand where these bids are coming from. We did contact, our suppliers, our typical suppliers that contractors also use. And for example, the fan parts are about $5,000, yet their bids were anywhere from $50,000 to well above that. So we're kind of scratching our heads. In addition to calling parts houses and kind of looking at our engineer's estimate, we contacted the city of Huntington Beach. I and I'll bring Mike Benish, RBH's owner, will be going to take a look at some, I'll say, odor control units that they installed recently on some of their submersible pump stations, about the same size as ours. And they're paying anywhere from $44,000 to $100,000, which is in the realm of what we had estimated. So once we do that, I'll say site visit to the city of Huntington Beach, I'll probably work with a contractor, maybe do some value engineering, take a look at what we can do to change our designs, or just understand what it is that the contractors, what are they seeing in our drawings. But what I'm asking for tonight is to basically have you receive and file the bids, receive, file, and reject all the bids tonight. That's what I'm asking for. I conclude my report. Do we have any questions for me?
Mark, you mentioned early on there was a range. Was it an unusually large range of the bids themselves? It looks like from, you said like 150 to 2 something.
Yeah, they're 164 to $250,000.
So that tells me there's something going on in the plan specs that's thrown. I mean, that's a really large range.
There could be 2 or 3 things going on in my experience. Number one, kind of after the fact, GCI, our contractor that we use quite a bit, I sort of asked them what they were, basing their electrical bid on, and I think they were having trouble getting an electrical contractor on board, and so they threw a number at it. The emergency that I'm dealing with right now, there were several contractors I called, most basically could not even respond because they have so much work right now. The construction business is just flooded. So perhaps that has something to do with it. But interestingly enough, Huntington Beach, for example, it was a month ago, just finished one of their odor control facilities. Now that one was $100 more expensive, but it had, I can't remember, it was 50 or 60, 70 feet worth of cinder block wall that was built around the facility. So that's a part of that 100,000. That's probably a large part of the improvement. So I don't understand why they got their bids where they are, but we're going to look at all of that. But I'm asking you tonight to reject the bid because there is something odd. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. So yeah, I tend to agree with that. What would the timeline be to investigate a little bit, interview a little bit, and if you have to do a value engineer, where are we talking about putting this back out on the street?
Well, it depends on workload and other things, but I'm going to say we can get it out on the street over the next couple of months, and then we'll rebid, and then we'll get this thing. I really don't see it as being a whole lot of work. I think parts and pieces are pretty readily available, and I think we can get this thing done in 2-3 months once the contractor starts work, maybe less. Because a month of that is shop drawings, as you know, and all the other fun stuff that goes along with it.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
Do you think any of these 3 will rebid it?
Perhaps. I mean, I think depending on what we find in Huntington Beach, depending on some value engineering, I suspect we're going to change our design. And then so if I were them, I would be interested in looking at it and rebidding the work.
I love it when you have a bid time at 10 o'clock. Receive You received all the bids within 15 minutes of 10 o'clock. There's some,
Mine usually 5.
I was gonna say, it's like, it's like turning into the barbecue competition, everybody waits till the last minute.
Yeah. So good shot.
All right, Mark's looking for a bid, all right,
Remove, receive and file.
Is to reject all bids.
and reject all.
I'll second the motion to reject the 3 bids.
Okay. Any discussion, Bob, anything?
No.
Thank you. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, and you have one more item for us. So you're good. Oh, boy.
Yeah, well, can I go on tell?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had to declare an emergency about a week or so ago. We had a pipeline in the middle of South Coast Plaza that, basically, gave way. And as a result, we've been either pumping, or we had temporary pipelines in, and we've been doing some work on this particular pipeline. I provided you some photos if you can pull them up. I think it was, last month or the month before, I brought an item before and was sort of talking about this project a little bit, and I was giving you an overview of what we planned on doing. So I'm not gonna start completely over, but Tiffany's would.
Hold on, I'm trying to share it back to Dr. Uden. Hang on a sec.
I can see it.
You're on screen 2. There you are.
Okay, looking at this picture, Tiffany's would be off, Tiffany's jewelry would be off to your left. Loading dock C is right in front of us there. The police substation is with the 2 little blue umbrellas there. And then we're in kind of between the parking lot and the actual mall proper, and our pump station is that beige colored box that's on the lower or mid lower right hand side, right about there. What we'll be talking about tonight is we have a manhole that's right here, and our wet well is right here, and we have a pipeline that goes about 16 feet from this location to that location. So it basically goes right through here. Go to the next picture, please. What I wanted to show you is this white piece of material here is what we call a liner pipe or a pipe liner. It depends on the use and how we're using it. And we're in here trying to replace our old rusted piece of pipe with that. Next slide, the next picture, please.
Next one is a movie. It's a little larger.
Oh, okay. Now, you can turn the volume. Now, what I wanted to basically show you is, last week, we got the liner finally into position, but there was so much groundwater. That's how much groundwater was still coming out of between I'll say the old pipe and the new pipe. And that old pipe was so corroded and so damaged that we couldn't get, we can't replace the 8-inch with an 8-inch, and so what you're looking at is a 6-inch pipe within an 8-inch pipe. And then there's one more slide.
That water's not coming out of the pipe, it's coming from around the pipe.
Yes, it is. Very, very, you notice, that's exactly what I want to point out to you.
I think groundwater is kind of like your little voodoo doll.
Yeah,
You know,
it's my kryptonite.
big kryptonite thing.
That's just another view, and this was from yesterday. unfortunately, that pipe that I just showed you with the water spraying out between it and the hose pipe, it failed again overnight. And Sunday from, I guess, 1 in the morning or so, our wastewater standby call out was out there. I arrived on the site shortly after that, and I think we finished, I and another wastewater person finished everything up by about 9:30 last night. And it's been going on and off like that for a week and a half or so. And so, what we did yesterday, because the pipe was so damaged, I'm not gonna be able to do anything with that particular pipe, or at least I don't think so. So what we did is all we did over the last several hours was install 2 new automated pumps to basically pump water from South Coast Plaza into our force main. So the water, these pumps are going into this pipe, this manhole right there. They pump to our force main, and then it basically discharges it where it normally would discharge the wastewater. So we're basically bypassing that particular piece of gravity pipe and then the whole rest of our pump station. And that is a sinkhole that was created. I think this might be the last picture that I'm
It
going to
is.
show you. But this was a sinkhole that when we opened up to look and start excavating and see what we could find and double check utilities and what we found was a sinkhole and basically groundwater. That groundwater is 6 feet below the pavement, so it's very high. And our pipe is somewhere around 20 feet. Our pump station goes a little bit deeper than that. So we have about 12 feet, 14 feet of water over our pipeline. We put in so much sand, I could have parked 2 of Nolani's cars in that hole. So it was a pretty big hole. So we took the first one, the dump truck load of sand, and then I think we probably have more that we're putting in there. Anyway, back, let me try to think where I'm a little tired, so bear with me. And I appreciate Scott telling me to stay home and sleep today, which is what exactly I did, because I've been burning the midnight oil. So I'm gonna be asking you for several things this evening. But before I do, I just wanna say that when this occurred, we thought we had a pipeline that was gonna be good enough for us to put a liner through. And so I proceeded to get quotes to get a liner pipe, a real liner pipe. That didn't quite happen. And when we went in to re-CCTV the thing, I actually had to bring a separate contractor out to patch the pipe because we had started to get holes in the thing. When we showed the contractors that the pipeline, the hose pipe was very severely damaged, that neither one wanted to install this liner pipe. They basically wanted to back out. And so I continued to work with them, and we decided to work with Pacific Performance Pipeline Technologies. And when we got out on the job site and we started to clean this liner, that's when the catastrophic failure initially started about a week or so ago. And at that point in time, we were lucky to get the camera out that was, I guess, cameraing, making sure that we got everything before we installed that liner pipe. So we retrieved the camera, and next morning I talked to our general manager, told him what we were doing, and an emergency was declared, and we started initially with, again, another pumping system to bypass wastewater because South Coast Plaza is such a high profile customer in our service area. We needed to make sure that we kept them on site. Talking with Performance Pipeline, we came up with option 1, which was we would take a corrugated black pipe and we would try to fish that through the very damaged 8-inch ductile iron pipe that was down in the ground. We could not, great idea, never been done before. And so we bought parts and pieces a couple of Mondays ago. Wasn't the last Monday, today's Monday. We bought parts and pieces and we went to the yard and we put together a test and we were successful. We were able to pull this into 8-inch pipe. Although it was new 8-inch pipe, and then we put a liner inside of that corrugated black pipe. So we proceeded to do that, and we were successful at installing not the black part, just the liner only. So what we ended up with is basically a liner only pipe, not with the black portion around it, because we couldn't get the black portion in that pipeline. We were trying one last effort, and so we basically, put what they call a pre-liner. It looks like a plastic Ziploc baggie, except it's a long like a pipeline. We put three of those into each other. We got it through the existing pipeline, and we blew the new liner in. Thursday, we finished up, and we're thinking, great, we're done. So we had a little bit of cleanup to do. So Friday, we finished that up, and then, we all went away for the weekend. I get a call Sunday morning, this liner pipe is now heart-shaped and damaged in the middle of the pipeline. It's so damaged that we cannot get a camera in to see the whole expense of the pipeline. I cannot put another liner in there, and so we're gonna have to take a step back and consider what we're gonna do. I suspect from the beginning, may have to do a dig and replace. I'm talking with T.E. Roberts, the contractor that we brought on board to help us with this emergency. He was saying, once he started getting in to see the amount of groundwater, he was saying that it's gonna somewhere between $1 million and $1.5 million to replace 16 feet of this sewer pipe. So that's where we are today. I don't have a lot of good news for you. Planning to, I believe our general manager and I will be meeting with South Coast Plaza on Wednesday, if we can make a meeting happen. They're very anxious to get this thing going. And here's what their concern is. If we're out construction during the holiday period, yes, that's the time that most of the shopping is done. And I think they said over $30 million a day goes through that mall. $30 million a day. Today, or on their slowest day, the general manager over at South Coast Plaza was advising us that a slow day is about $8 million. So what we don't want to do is start a heavy duty construction project, because in order to dig and repair, I'm going to have to, or this agency will have to relocate our force main. We will have to relocate a 10-inch fire water that serves the parking structure. And there's probably some other utilities we're going to have to relocate, because we'll likely have to build a coffer start digging down, sucking out the water, digging down, sucking out the water. And as soon as we can get down to 20 feet, probably 22 feet, we can backfill with a little bit of rock and potentially replace that pipe. So that's kind of what we're thinking right now. I don't have a lot more information than that, but what I need you to do tonight is to do a couple of things. One, I need you to adopt resolution 2024-997, confirming an emergency and ratifying an order of the general manager to replace critical infrastructure of the South Coast Plaza pump station. Number one. Number two, approve a transfer of $182,000 from the general fund. So, Director Eccles, I'm getting the money back from you. And I want to move that money to the wastewater fund and appropriate the $182,000 to CIP number 355 sewer emergency replacement project budget. I would ask you to please consider authorizing district staff to negotiate and approve a one-time materials and contract with TE Construction Company Incorporated to provide emergency construction services, including any dewatering activities and related services that we need to stabilize the existing site. Negotiate CIP number 355 South Coast Plaza sewer pipeline liner installation and emergency services change order with Performance Pipeline Technology for the emergency activities and the replacement pipeline that we did install, and bring TER Construction Incorporated contract, bring their contract and a change order back to this board for consideration and ratification. That's the action as we have it today. To be quite candid with you, I believe that these actions will change over the next month and we'll have to come back to you. But in order for me to at least pay the bills that we've already expensed, I need to get this approval. I will ask you for that help. Any questions?
Is this in your weekly update last week? You had a copy of a board action from some of our predecessors. Is this what you're talking about? So had they not done that, this thing would be on South Plaza.
Be on private property, correct? Yeah, I do want to,
Consequences of what we do up here, I guess.
I do want to mention, I do want to commend Mark for his leadership on this project.
Yeah.
If you remember the Paularino siphon we had
Hmm.
about a year ago, triple that, what we're dealing with now, right? The challenge, the difficulties we're facing now. Mark was there throughout the day when it really failed, day and night. He was there overseeing the crews, overseeing the contractors, working with Southwest Plaza staff, making sure that we can rehabilitate this line. And then all of a sudden, last Sunday, I get a text message from at 5:30 in the morning, said it failed. And then he keeps me up to date on Sunday, and I get a text message at 9:30 at night, he's still there, saying, oh, we finally got it resolved. I mean, that's like 16, 17 hour a day worked yesterday. That's why I asked him to please take today off. Yeah, so I want to commend Mark for his leadership on this, and we couldn't be where we are today, and we still face some challenges, but still, I'm confident with Mark's leadership that we can resolve this. It will cost us some money. I am gonna talk to Molly on Wednesday to see how much they can contribute to this project, because I think they should. So we will be talking to them as well, but again, before you make it, I just wanna commend Mark for what he's done so far, so great job, Mark.
Yeah, I just to echo what you said, we do appreciate this, Mark. There's a lot of dedication to what's going on. Just tell Southwest Plaza that all of the staff and all of the board will stop there during the holiday season to help make up for
60-80 million. Chunk.
You go to Tiffany and spend that all in one blow, I'm sure.
Yeah, that
Better not be watching.
It's quite a good question.
Yeah, just, and I don't know, at this juncture, do you have a best and worst case scenario? Or is it too early?
it's way too early for me to even, it'd be, I'd be guessing, and it'd be conjecture on part of where we're gonna proceed. But, let's put it this way, I believe we're probably end up digging down.
I was just gonna say, I think you're gonna be putting a whole new structure, and dig it down and put a whole new structure.
It won't be easy for many, many reasons, and I will tell you the reason it's gonna take, even let's say we decide to do this, and this is what we have to, some information I need to convey to South Coast Plaza and their executive management. And that is, when we start to build a coffer dam, or we start to dewater, one big concern I have is we're right next to looks like a 3 or 4 story parking structure. It might even be, anyway, so I'd be worried about that tilting. We're not too far away from the actual mall structure itself. So I'm gonna have to do some upfront planning and analysis before we even begin to design. For example, we'll have to hire probably some of my plumbers to go out there and drill a couple of 4-inch, I'll call them test wells, just to try to start to understand pumping rates. What would it take to dewater that so we can get down 20 feet to our pipeline, and go through this whole process. And then I think South Coast Plaza will be a pretty cooperative partner. I know that my understanding is because of the way they design and do projects, they have a lot of they have used ground penetrating radar. We may have to ask them to understand where are all their utilities, because their utilities may or may not, depending on where they're located. And when I was looking at their maps, not the most accurate maps. In fact, I don't even know what's in there, and I don't think they know what's in there. So we'll probably have to bring ground penetrating radar firm in to figure out where all the utilities are. But it's gonna be slow, and it's gonna be well thought out. I think it could take us anywhere from a month to get to the point where we can get a contractor on board if this is what we're end up doing. I believe that Then it's another 4 or 5 or 6 weeks to get down. And once we get the pipe in place, it'll go real fast. And then all the utility relocations are above the water line, so that's a godsend. Because most of those utilities that I mentioned are all above the water, at least the utilities we know are all above water, groundwater right now.
I guess two things that concern me. If I own South Coast Plaza, which obviously I don't, and I saw that picture of that groundwater, and they've had groundwater problems over the years at South Coast Plaza. I mean, they have major pumping of groundwater under Crystal Court. I mean, they pump a lot of water.
They still pump water out from under the groundwater.
So I mean, I would hope South Coast Plaza would look at what you've done so far to help them along the way.
Yeah.
The other thing that concerns me is, so it's a month to get a contractor, so that's the end of September roughly.
Yeah.
Then we start the project for 6 weeks, now we're into November. And we don't want that publicity.
Yeah, in all reality, excuse me, right, when we meet with, South Plaza on Wednesday, we'll know for sure, but I'm anticipating we won't start construction until beginning of the year. If we can hold the fort down through the holidays, as Mark says, do the proper analysis, the proper designs, the proper bidding, get us through the holidays, and then come after January 1, we'd be ready to go. We can break ground. But you know, maybe they'll be comfortable. I don't think they will, but maybe they will be comfortable us doing work during the holidays. I doubt it. I believe we'll probably do it in beginning of 2025.
I appreciate that, Scott, because I kind of think that's working with them, being a good partner, then would make us do that.
I mentioned that to their director of operations this afternoon, this morning, when I was he texted me a couple of questions. And he mentioned to me that his general manager wanted to start construction immediately. Well, what I advised him of is that this pumping system that we set up last night, as opposed to a week earlier, was this one is fully automated and it's got alarms, and it will, Charles King, who we currently have the dewatering hired to bring in and install their automated dewatering pump. I also paid them, or will be paying them. They automated one of our pumps. And so one of those 2 pumps is ours. I didn't want to put both of our pumps out there in case we have another emergency at a different location. I wanted to reserve a pump for their emergency response. So we automated such that I believe we could continue to run for the next 3-4 months while we get past the holiday season. So I'm anticipating this, knowing that in my experience with South Coast Plaza, we do not want to disrupt their holiday season.
You know, that guy that wants to start immediately, that's the difference between a private company and a public company or public agency. We have bidding process, we have a lot more that we have to go through if they don't.
Well, if we declare an emergency, which you're doing tonight, we don't have to go through that process. But to be on the safe side, maybe we want to consider that. But you know, Mark did find a very good contractor here locally in Costa Mesa. Well, maybe he's available. If he is, we can hire him if we think the price is right.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have heard of T.E. Roberts. T.E. Roberts has been around quite a while now. Family started firm. They've done a lot of emergency work in Newport Beach, Fashion Island, and they're very familiar with high water table. They did several projects for City of Newport Beach in an emergency basis, where they had the Balboa, or they had the Newport Harbor on one side and the Pacific Ocean on the other side. So they dig down 6 feet during sandy water, just like we have here. Even he said, this is worse than being at the beach. That's how much water we have. But he's a very good contractor, very knowledgeable, aware that business has to keep going. And so I think he'll fit in very well if we choose to move forward. But we'll have to see. The time will tell. We've got to get some other steps done before we bring on someone to do a major project. I still need to determine that's the last resort.
Okay, other questions for Mark?
Well, I just have a question, Scott. When you meet with them on Wednesday, will they define the timing that we're gonna be going through? Or not?
When you mean by time?
Or they may say, get on it right away or wait.
Well, I think what Mark says, that we can get on our way. We still need to do some research and some analysis to be sure. I mean, we can't start tomorrow. It's not gonna happen, but maybe we can start within a month. You know, that's,
Will they tell you that on?
yes, they'll let us know their comfort level.
That's what I'm saying, let us know. what they
Yeah,
say.
yes, definitely. They'll let us know their comfort level. That's what we're gonna engage on Wednesday.
Okay, so re-report study session.
Yeah, we'll be able to provide an update with the study session.
We don't
We're
have,
not gonna have one. We're
I'll
not
just give you,
having-
I'll give the board, written
yes.
reports. I'll give them written reports.
That's right, you don't have a study session.
No, it's canceled.
That was not a question.
Thanks, sir. Okay, then, we have a motion to adopt or the recommendation of staff.
If you do the resolution separately, Mr.
The
President.
resolution separate, okay. So then, item one, we need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-997.
I'll move that we adopt recommendation number 1, the staff report, resolution number 2024-997.
Second.
Gentlemen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So the resolution has been adopted unanimously.
Mhm.
I'll also move that we approve in the staff report items 2 and 3, A, B, and C as recommended in the staff report.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously as well. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Davis is a witness this evening. Attorney, counselor, anything for us this evening?
Yeah, Mr. President, it's hard to follow that item, but the California Attorney General has applying that the Americans with Disability Act may require remote participation by a board member who becomes disabled and prevents their attendance. So as you know, the Brown Act's been amended numerous times, and it's, you need a scorecard to keep up with where it is right now. The current version expires in 2026. Up until this time, the Attorney General said if you're disabled, you may not participate remotely. But because of all the amendments that have happened, the Attorney General has now changed his mind and said that the disabled board member must qualify as disabled to qualify. And if he does, he may participate in the meeting by having two-way video and real-time audio streaming. And he must identify any other persons in the room who are present in a remote location. Under those circumstances, if you are disabled under the ADA, you may participate remotely in the board meeting, which you could not do previously.
Does that include temporary disability or temporary?
Pardon?
Would it-
Well, I don't know that there's temporary versus permanent, but I think if you're disabled, you're disabled.
Yeah,
This is in addition to the authority you have right now that we just participated in, namely that there's if you're ill or have a condition and you qualify for the just cause or emergency circumstances finding, you can participate under those as long as you don't do it too many times in a year or some other requirements, but this one will allow you to. It doesn't have those restrictions where you have to only a few times a year. You can permanently participate in a board meeting if you are disabled under the ADA, as long as you have the two-way communication and you identify who's in the room with you. So it's changing the Attorney General's position on this. Hopefully we don't need this and we all stay healthy in case one of the board does become disabled. This would allow continued participation. That's all I have.
thank you, that's interesting. DPA strikes again. Okay, local meetings. Bob, did you have a report on OC sanitation?
We meet on this Wednesday, the 28th. The agenda is posted if you want to read it.
Will you be attending?
Yes, I believe so. I should be. I'm hoping I'll be well by ASAP.
Good, glad to hear. Sir, any report? Is that, are you, think so? You know, with your question.
Wake was, I attended Wake. And the speaker is on the side of the scenes, and history and the whole big recording. And, on the August 5th, when I had a Zoom with them. And then, I attended the CSDA Finance Core on them, and, we're doing a very good webinar, so that's good. On the members up for reelection on CSDA board, actually, Joe McKenzie made it, no problem, so that was real good. And we had a board meeting recently, and we have some new board members now. And they're good ones. The one wrote me a long letter, which I mentioned. He's new, he's from Santa Cruz, and he's going to be being involved in a lot now, so he's excited about it. Then on the inside for the re-election, talking about August 6th, the stock meeting, and we were recording on everything that was going on with all the different people that won and didn't win, so forth. Actually, we had very good luck to the people. I guess they decided they didn't want to run for the things, and so a lot of people are doing election wise, they're just getting elected, re-elected. So that's interesting to see. So unfortunately, my term isn't up to 26, so I can't get in on that right now. But that's okay. And that's about it.
Interesting with ISDOC. There was a proposal that they haven't had a secretary for 2 years. Nobody wanted to run for secretary. They're having people run for offices on the ISDOC executive committee. So what they're proposing is that if someone will run for an office, they'll give them a free, the ISDOC will pay for them to go to the CSDA annual conference. And let's bribe you to volunteer. So, not being on that board, I can't vote for it, but I think that's kind of silly. I
kind of feel like it was my fault when this happened.
Oh, that was
because when it was my turn, I was going to be president, and I said, I can't take this because I didn't want our secretaries to get involved. You know, you have to do all the minutes and do all the different things, and so I just, I decided.
It could have been, it's not, believe me, it could have been streamlined and they just chose not to streamline. SDRMA, nothing to report. We had no board meeting. Other meetings, anybody else have any other meetings?
Just that, the one thing that I didn't say is that Indian Wells in September, we're having our big conference there for CSDA.
In Balmy, Indian Wells.
Right?
In Balmy, Indian Wells in September. We could have gone to Yuma for this. Okay, there are no other meetings, we'll have no older new business. Any oral communications, staff, any communications? I guess this will probably be your last board meeting for a while, huh?
It is.
Yeah, I just sort of counting backwards, I thought, probably Gene's last meeting.
Good there.
Good luck,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Twins?
Oh.
I'm sure, just one.
One boy.
That's enough, one little
Yeah.
boy. Oh, brilliant.
It's a boy.
I don't know. I think so, right?
Yes.
Yes. But I remember when when my wife was pregnant with her first one, they used to do, like, you take a paper clip and put it on a string. Hold it over the belly, if it goes one way, it's a boy, if it goes the other way, it's a girl. I just knew we were gonna have boys, there's no way, shape, or form.
The other meetings that I've read with it, not a meeting, a call.
Yeah, I'm
Not. And congratulations, Gina. And I saw President Schaefer counting on his fingers, which that must be.
I was thinking next time. September.
She's like, what plus one? But I just wanted to commend Caitlin and all of staff. For those of the members of the public, I mean, what we do up here, budgeting and things like this, the last study session when we all said. I mean, I felt the daggers from staff. We gotta find cuts. No agency ever wants to hear those words out of people like us sitting up here. I just feel, I was like, uh-oh, but I commend you all for finding, not necessarily cuts, but just finding ways to make sure that the budget is realistic and we can attain it. And as Mark is going through, and he probably already knew from his career, a budget is a financial plan we all have to live by and live within, but then share your plan with God and hear the heavenly host laughing. Because this is why I at least, and I think all of us up here, it's so important to have those reserves for these sorts of things, and the report before our budget to show that we not only lived within our means, we did better than the forecasted budget. So great job to all of our staff, all of our departments, and everyone for our community. Should have a lot of confidence, and in fact, when the cameras turned off last meeting and I saw Caitlin, Scott, and others all huddled up the minute we said, hey, find some money elsewhere. Members of the public know that they were there within minutes of this meeting concluding, so I know, I appreciate that, and I think everyone up here does, because as we see, we have some things coming down that are unexpected, but being good stewards of the money that's bestowed upon us from the community. Great work, and I thank you, because I know it's not easy. And Mark, get some sleep. Thank you all, and I guess until we'll have one meeting next month, so see you then. More than one. Didn't we cancel one of them?
Oh, I think.
I got time.
Vice Secretary, anything?
No, I can't imagine the amount of work Mark put in. You know, I really appreciate that. You know, I spent a lot of time training him, so.
But
Thank you for your tutelage.
there's no way of backing out of that training. Directing another one. So,
No. Also, you know, I have worked the longest with Caitlin, and you know, I'm always astounded with the clarity of her reports. And I really appreciate what Director Eccles said about the finance department. I agree.
there's a culture in this agency that more agencies need to adopt. And that has to do with all of you, so. I just will make just a quick announcement that, I only have 4 more days to work. Wow. And, yeah.
Stop.
You'll find something.
After 51.5 years, my shingle is being retired.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
What's wrong with you? And I'm thinking, what's wrong with you asking me? Anyway, thank you all very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you.